Hey everybody, it's PJ from Wisconsin Airgunners, and today in this box to bench I've got a very special rifle that has been sent over by FX Airguns. A little bit of history on this. At the British Shooting Show earlier this year, FX announced a series of 20 caliber rifles specifically for the UK Sub-12 market. And so I had the opportunity to talk about that with Johan of FX Airguns. And I asked him if there's any chance I could get one of those to do a box to bench. I know that in the US market, bigger, more powerful is often seen as more better. But I live in a relatively compact neighborhood down here in Central Florida. And while I can shoot in my backyard, the idea of shooting a really powerful air gun is a bad choice. So I need to be very careful about the air guns I select in terms of power and performance. I need pinpoint accuracy, but I need limited power. And I thought it'd be interesting. I've got a couple of Sub-12 air guns in my collection, but I thought it would be interesting to see what FX could produce in that 20 caliber. So the rifle that we're looking at today is a DRS Classic. It's the 500 millimeter barrel, and it is in Sub-12. So let's get this box to bench underway. This showed up a couple of weeks ago now, and honestly, it has been absolutely killing me not to get out and shoot this rifle until I really had the time to do this video for you. So the way a box to bench works is I've done no tuning on this gun. I'm going to do no tuning on this gun before you see the results of the shooting. We're going to take it out. We're going to test a couple of things we normally test: trigger weight, just general fit finish, those kinds of things, look at the features. But I don't spend any time ahead of time with the gun. You get to see how it reacts out of the box. Now, if you're an American viewer, I hope you're interested in this for interest's sake. I do not believe this is something they anticipate importing into the US, but maybe we can get something going and get them to bring these 20 cals over here. If you are in the UK market, this is one they built for you guys. So yeah, let's take a peek. This is not working out very well for me. So as typical, you're going to get a manual. There's a magazine in here, but let's get the rifle out. Flip this around. Get rid of the box. There'll be some stuff rolling around in there. So this has FX's walnut stock. It is, with the cheek piece, you can see biased toward a right-handed shooter. You've got some stippling there, the FX logo. Now the DRS, sort of what's special about the DRS design is your air is over the barrel. So this is I think it's a 210 cc tank, and then your plenum is down here in what kind of looks like a box magazine. Side lever cocking, you got your resettable safety there. It's not an automatic safety. I know some viewers will be familiar with that kind of concept, but this is a manual safety. You turn it on, you turn it off. It does fill by way of a probe. I'll have to pull that out of the box, and under the thread protector there is 1/2x20 threading on the front so that you can attach a moderator. Now in my experience, the DRS, because all of this shroud space is actually filled with your air tank, the DRS family of air guns are pretty loud. So I'm anticipating we'll be putting something like a Tatsu on here, but we'll worry about that when we get out to shoot. The fill pressure on the DRS is 230 bar, if memory serves, but I'll double check that. If it's not 230, I'll throw some numbers up, but I'm pretty sure it's 230. They do outfit this with sling studs, front and back. And she's got enough air for us to do our initial trigger test, so let's get into that. So on the way to grab my trigger scale, I opened up the box and pulled out the fill probe, and I've got the magazine, so we'll get that ready to go in just a little bit. But this fell out, and it's not something I've ever seen in an FX box before. So it says FX Airguns Certificate of Authenticity. Oh, this is for the UK market. So this is the official documentation. So it's got quality check and tune information, final inspection. It says they shot it with a 13.7 grain 20 caliber projectile, and the velocity is between 610 and 620 feet per second. So my guess is if we do the math on that, and I'll do the math and throw it up here for you, but that's going to be sub-12. So it must be something that's specific to the UK market. Don't know if that's an import regulation. I'm not in the UK, so maybe if you know about that stuff, maybe that's normal and I'm just late to the party, but throw a comment down there and let me know if that's something you've seen before from FX. Okay, also, while I was off camera, I did verify that this is unloaded. There's no pellets in it, which is good because I didn't put any in, and it means they didn't ship them with any, which is what they shouldn't do or should do. Well, it's unloaded. I've confirmed that. Even with that, I will be shooting into a catch off camera. So we'll get a little bit of a how loud is it, because we're going to do this without a moderator. Clear that out. Tell it it's ready. That would be 1 pound, 1.6 ounces. I'm sorry. Let's change that. That is 11.6 ounces. Yeah, that's a light trigger. Well, 11.7 ounces. $10.7 ounces. That's an average of 11.4 ounces. That is a really light trigger. A little bit of movement. Nice firm wall. And then just a little bit more. Yeah, that's a nice trigger. Very much like that. So let's get scope on here, and we'll be getting ready to head to the range. So far, so good. All right, well, we are back, or I'm back, and I'm on the Wisconsin Airgunners outdoor range here in Central Florida. Just basically, this is the maiden voyage of the range. We unfortunately had a really big oak tree behind our house that was getting to the end of its life cycle and had to be removed. And while that was a sad event, it did open up my backyard. And so right now I'm at I think I'm at like 27 yards, but basically I can do distances from, well, you know, close back almost to 30 yards. So I thought, let me get a range here. We are 27 yards to target right now. So should be a good test for the 20 cal. We're outside, so there is a little bit of wind this morning, not too much. But yeah, we're gonna do accuracy at what is 27 yards, and then we'll also do chronograph results on a string for you. Now I've fired this gun in just getting the scope set up. So I filled it to 230 bar. I have fired 2 magazines, and the magazines are 15 rounds each. Let me just count that to double check my math on it. Yeah, 15 rounds in 20 cal. And I have fired 2 magazines, and that has cost me 30 bar in air. So if I kind of work that down, and one of the things about the DRS, which is a little bit of an old school nod for those of you who've been shooting regulated guns for a while, you don't actually have on this version of it a separate regulator gauge. So not 100% certain where this one is set to. I don't think I'll shoot it down past 100 bar, but if I'm getting basically 1 bar per shot, that puts this in, and again, we're talking about a sub-12, but that puts this in a, like, over 100 shots per fill, which frankly would be pretty amazing. And one of the great things about low power air gunning is the air consumption is significantly less than what you'd experience in a, you know, a 30 or 35 foot-pound 22 or something like that. So as far as the magazine goes, pretty easy to load. The DRS, this version of it, has a really low scope rail, which is nice for setting up optics and having, well, making it easy on the dialing and whatnot. But it means the magazine is just a little bit small. So my only complaint about the magazine itself is it's fairly small. It's really easy to use, but it's fairly small. I've got big sausage fingers, so occasionally it's a little tight to get a pellet in there, and I'm running, you know, what that loading procedure looks like. This is the side shot style magazine. I guess the only other thing I would say is if you accidentally drop a pellet in upside down, it can take a little shaking to get it out, and you can figure how I know about that. But reliable magazine, works really well. Oh, okay. Third potential issue is in the U.S. can be tough for me to get more of these 20 cal, so I may have to call in a favor on that. But I'm going to get the chronograph set up. I've got the target down range, and let's get this set up, then get you turned around so you can see the chronograph results. You should be able to hear how quiet this setup is, particularly outside with the Donnie FL Tatsu. Very quiet air gun, and I would say I'm in the realm where the pellet hitting the target is about as loud as the gun is. So in the last video I did with the DNT Zulus, I talked about starting records so you could see the downrange results, and then totally forgot to do it. So we're gonna make sure that we are not. Okay, so it is actually recording now, not pretend recording now. And if I didn't mention this earlier, the pellets I'm shooting are the JSB 13 grain 20 cal. Okay, magazine is in, and let me get you turned around so you can see. chronograph is not reading. So let me make an adjustment here. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can catch that flashing through the sunlight of the pellet on the way to the target. All right, that is, I'll get you a little bit of it. Get you in a little closer here, try and get some of that glare out. I don't know if I'm helping or making it better. So it registered 13 shots. We got a high of 619, a low of 610, average of 613. So a total spread of 9 and an average BC of 0.33. Pretty good. Sorry I missed those 2 shots. I just didn't have the chronograph close enough to the barrel with this small projectile. Honestly, I do an awful lot of 30 cal shooting, and you don't have to be quite as precise with the chrono placement in 30 cal. You've also seen, still recording? Yep. You've also seen that group through the scope as I did. One of the cool things about the D&T Zulus is that it gives you, it tells you your angular error. One of the things that I have to get used to is having that data, because I find myself looking at the scope, oh, I'm a little, and then looking down, oh, I'm a little canted. Okay, try to adjust the cant, go back up at the crosshairs, and the crosshairs aren't where I left them. So now you're trying to adjust 2 variables at the same time. So that is a little bit of a getting used to on that, but it is good data to have, because I think if I actually, I don't know the output, I'll have to look at the output to see if the output shows all that data. It definitely, even at 25 yards, does make a difference on target. So again, we're gonna go down, well, not again. We're gonna go down, take a look at that group, or I'll go grab the, no, we'll walk down there together. How about that? See, we're growing grass here on the backyard range, waiting for that to all come in. All right, that's looking pretty good. All those shots are definitely minute of squirrel at 27 yards. All right, so here is that target. And if I was at the county fair, I guess I left a little bit of that red behind. That's a good group at this distance. 13 grains, a fairly lightweight pellet by American standards, and shooting at 613 feet per second, it's actually spending a fair amount of time in the air on the way to target. It does get decent BC numbers. So 0.33 is not far off what I expect to see from either a JSB Hades or the 18 grain dome. So nice BC. From like, if I'm sub-12 and I have to go 177 or 22, I really have always believed that the 20 cal is a really nice middle ground that gives you some of the, well, my buddy Joe, the Lord of Lead, you might know him from Instagram or YouTube, but he's always been an advocate of 20 cal. And his statement is always 177 flat, 22 thwack. So I'll be excited to have the opportunity to test that out on some squirrels. But as far as accuracy, I definitely know that this gun can do it and has what it needs in order to make good stuff happen. So some final thoughts on the DRS Mark II, and I guess I didn't make a big deal out of this being the Mark II. There are some internal changes between the Mark I and Mark II. Many of those changes are upgrades internally that you might not notice from looking at it, but probably will appreciate in terms of functionality. My understanding, without getting technical, is that there's some of the things that were on the Mark I Pro internally that have found their way into the Mark II. I would say on this one, the trigger is more of what I would consider like a traditionally styled shoe. It's the curved metal, as opposed to the match style, post with the little shoe on it trigger. I find this quite pleasant to use and is really nice. You know when you're at the first stage wall, and then, well, we showed it before, but it was like around 11 ounces of pull weight, which is really nice. The cocking on this is super smooth and super light. The magazine feeds well, again, other than it's a little small. And not in capacity. A 15 round magazine is pretty good, but a little small for my sausage fingers. So not really a complaint so much as, that is what it is. The Picatinny rail is the perfect length for mounting whatever optical solution you're looking for. You get 1/2x20 threads up front, so you can put your favorite Donny FL on the end. Of course, you can use whatever you want, but you guys know I'm partial to Donny FL and have been since the beginning. This is a very comfortable stock. It doesn't have a dedicated place or inletting to put a Picatinny rail. So again, today I've used my protector front rest and actually also my rear leather bag, which honestly, it was great to have an excuse to break them out because they've sat in the box for far too long, and I love the way this mechanical rest works and well, functions. Very, very cool setup, and I don't get out to use it enough for my liking. So good to get that out of the box. But it does have swivel studs, and there are Picatinny rails that can attach to a swivel sling stud. So it's not that you couldn't put one on there, it just doesn't have it, and you'd have to adapt it. But the stock itself is very comfortable, and the accuracy is perfect for what I need this air gun to do. And I get asked a lot because of my day job at Donnie FL, what air gun should I get? And part of that for a lot of people is a consideration for, I don't have a compressor, I might have to hand pump, and I'm not suggesting that this is hand pump friendly. It's still a 230 bar fill. But one thing to consider, and I'm speaking now to people in America, one thing to consider is if you're going to be in a situation where you have to rely on somebody else for your air fill, like I've got a buddy who's got a tank and I can go see him, kind of whenever I want, but I have to drive across town or I have to drive to the next town or whatever the situation is. Having an air gun for backyard, whether it's plinking or pesting, you do not need a ton of power to do that. In fact, here on my backyard range, I really only want to use fairly low powered air guns because I'm, you can see the house behind me. I'm in the middle of a neighborhood. Now, I take a lot of precautions in setting up my range so that I know everything is safe. I have double fence walls behind my target box. My target box itself can take, well over 357 caliber air guns. It's got 12 plus inches of mulch in it, plus a plate in the back of the box, plus behind the boxes is 2 layers of 3/4 inch treated plywood, plus the box itself. Like, I know nothing's going through there, and I won't shoot anything on my range that I don't know and trust is absolutely precise enough to allow me to do this safely. But I don't need 30 foot-pounds to shoot on my backyard range. And I just want you to think about this for a minute. So this is plenty powerful for doing backyard stuff, right? It's plenty accurate for doing backyard stuff. And even with the tiny air cylinder, this is 210 cc's over the barrel, I can probably get about 130 shots. And that means more backyard shooting, fewer trips over to your buddy's house to get a tank filled. It's just something to think about. A lot of times, especially in America, we get really fired up about high power and how amazing it is that we can shoot air guns that have these incredible power bands. And that is cool. There is a point to that. And there are places where that's appropriate. But there are also a lot of places where lower power, because we're shooting small things at close distances, and we just don't need that much power for it. So some of you may see that as heresy, un-American, unpatriotic, whatever. I don't care what you think. Well, I mean, I do, but I also don't. You need an air gun that is going to be the right tool for the job that you're doing. And we do have a squirrel problem in this neighborhood. Some of the people in the neighborhood don't view it as a problem. I do, because they've been in my attic and they've chewed up my wires. So it's a problem. But when I'm going to take care of that, aside from the considerations of making sure I know what my backstop is and all of the things that go into safe stewardship of the sport, okay? Aside from all those things, I just don't need to splash a whole lot of extra power because, something can always go wrong. And I want the least amount of power on the other side of the squirrel as I can, which is why I select the Hades pellet, because it dumps so much energy. Unfortunately, they don't make a 20 cal Hades, so this one will have to be Diablos. Back to the scope for a minute, which is probably still recording. We can probably shut that down for a while. This is now the third gun I've actually had this mounted on. and I like it. It's a very traditional looking and feeling form factor. It's quick, responsive. I haven't had the chance yet to test the ranging and the ballistics calculations, but I have the data in order to do that. But I haven't had a chance to test that yet. So that's down the road, but hopefully coming soon as opportunities present. But I'm actually really liking looking at it, and I do like the traditional layout a lot more than I thought I was gonna. It's very easy on the eye to look through, and yeah, I think it's got a lot going for it. So I expect to continue to work with this, not just on this air gun, but on others that come in. And I hope you're enjoying the footage, because it seems like it's pretty. I mean, it looks clear to me, and when I put it on the computer, it looks clear that way too. So hopefully you're enjoying that part. Boy, you know, I've had or have a 22 cal DRS, the Mark I. It's in a Saber tactical chassis. It's great for shooting, and no complaints about the Mark II version. I think they've got another good thing going here. If you have questions about the platform, please throw them in the comments. If you like the idea of looking at some of the low power stuff on the channel, let me know, and I'll see what I can do about that. And until the next video, everybody, shoot safe, shoot straight, and I'll see you around.